I know that everybody here that might want to see the number on the scale change is after weight loss, but I don't actually think you are. Because if I snap my fingers and I told you that, poof, now you are exactly the number on the scale that you wanted to weigh. But your energy is low, your cravings are high, your mood sucks, you can't sleep at night, you have no sex drive, and oh, by the way, all the weight that you lost came in the form of muscle loss and you kept all the fat on your body. Are you happy?
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm Jenn Trepeck, your host and health coach, here with you every week for Wellness Without the Weirdness. And I have to say, we as humans make me laugh. Like, we're funny. We're cute. We think that if something is good, more is better, right? I see it all the time. And this actually, funny, it came up on a live Q&A that I did recently for another podcaster's community. We were talking about a food that's a healthier version of something. And I said, by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean this is something that we want to make a staple of our everyday. But like, we're cute. We do this all the time, right? We think something is a great choice or a healthier choice, and now all of a sudden we go all in and it becomes the only thing we're eating. Well, I think the other place that we do this, not just with food, but where we think, more is better, but it may not be, is our exercise. So to help us continue to work smarter rather than harder when it comes to exercise and achieve our ideal fitness goals, I have an incredible featured guest for us. So most coaches tell women to eat less and move more. He does the opposite. Through Diet Detox, he simplifies nutrition and fitness, helping women eat more, exercise less, and focus on what truly matters, breaking free from self-sabotage, shifting their identity, and achieving forever weight loss. With a background in surgery and years of coaching, he's helped over 1,000 women ditch restrictive diets, rebuild their metabolisms, and reshape their lives. His bold, backwards approach proves that lasting change isn't found in another diet. It's found in a total mindset shift. Named as one of the top 100 menopause influencers of 2024 and as the host of Midlife Makeover Summit, the largest online health summit for women 40 plus, he is an influential figure with a track record to back it up. Without further ado, I give you Joe Hoye.
Wow, that was a hell of an intro. I like that. And number one, thanks for having me. Number two, I couldn't agree more with what you said about us humans doing some silly stuff sometimes and thinking that, hey, this is working good, or hey, this feels good, so I'm going to do 10 times more of it. And then having our minds blown when, it's backfired and now we're getting worse results or worse outcomes.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I think we have such a need for immediate gratification that also plays into this complication because there's an adjustment period for the body too, where like it might not be the ideal results in the first few weeks, but over time we can get there. So I think that also kind of complicates all of this.
Yeah, it really does, right? Like we can start out strong, but eventually what got us going is not going to get us across the finish line.
Totally. And for a lot of reasons. I mean, that could be a whole can of worms altogether, a whole other episode, if you will. But speaking of, by the way, so, Joe, your podcast is called Diet Rebellion. We should fill everybody in. This is not our first conversation. After you finish listening here, jump over to Diet Rebellion. There's an episode there from December of 2024 with Joe and I, and then there's another one coming up. So keep your eyes peeled over there. Joe, I want to start with your story and then kind of keep going from there. But really quick, I have one more piece of housekeeping. We have to tell our members what they're getting this week. So members, your recipe this week is like my new summer staple. It is for cucumber and radish salad. And I have to tell you, even if you don't like radishes, I think you're going to like this one. So sometimes if I have it around, I'll add a little bit of feta to it too. It pairs with any kind of protein that you want. It is so easy to make. I think you're going to love this one. And then remember, because it's June, the third month of the quarter, it's time for your live Q&A, which we're doing as a one-on-one again. So just you and me. So if you want this recipe or a one-on-one short health coaching session, be sure you're a member. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. For just $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions. It's a total deal. I say it all the time. It's a steal when you take advantage of the full offerings because you save far more than that $10 cost. It's a no-brainer way to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, being a member supports this podcast and this community so we can continue to bring you new episodes and experts every week. So remember, you're going to go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or just click the link below in the episode notes because that's a lot easier. Once you're there, you click the little I agree button and then support now, enter your email and payment info, click subscribe, and you're all set. You're going to get this week's recipe for the cucumber radish salad and a link to schedule your quarterly live one-on-one, just you and me. Okay, Joe, we heard in your bio that you focus on women over 40. I know now you're also bringing in some of the younger demographic into your training. So you're a trainer. You also work on the nutrition front. You mentioned your surgical background, but tell us a little bit more. How did you get to all of this and the diet detox method?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a journey, right? And so right now, as we're recording, I am 31 years old, and this whole entire journey, really, if I boil everything down, started when I was 13 years old. And it started because at 13, I hit puberty right around then. And so shot up super tall, but never really gained any weight. And so I was 5'11", I was like 130 pounds. I was so skinny. And because of that, like I grew so quick, I didn't know how to use my body well. I wasn't coordinated. I wasn't very good in school. I wasn't very good at much. And at 13, a lot of kids kind of like capitalized on that. Like, oh, Joe's an easy target. We're going to start picking on him. And at that time, growing up, I was in my mom's house. Like she was my strongest, most consistent role model. I had two stepbrothers that were sometimes at that house, sometimes at their mom's house. But really, a lot of the time, it was just her and I spending time together, me hanging out with her, like watching how she acts and interacts and taking cues from her, which will make sense to everybody later on. She noticed that at that age, like I wasn't really as happy as most 13-year-olds should be, right? I was starting to keep to myself, which wasn't like me. I was starting to be a little bit down. I wasn't really looking at people anymore. And she picked up on that. She didn't really say it to me, but as a mom, she knew. And she offered to bring me to the gym one night because she had been going for years. I had never been going. She's like, hey, buddy, I know you already finished your homework. We ate dinner together. Everything's good. I'm going to go to the gym like always, but do you want to come with me tonight? And that was it. Like, it was very clear to me that as a 13-year-old boy that grew up looking at things like the Hulk and He-Man and Captain America and all these like muscle-filled guys, like, well, you got to go to the gym to get muscles and you got to have muscles to be confident. So I was like, yeah, I would love to go because those people, those guys at the gym had what I wanted. So start going to the gym, fall in love on day one. From 13 to 18, I go religiously and I never really make a dent inside of how my body looks or how it's shaped. But what it did do is it affected my mental health in a massively positive way. And so it did plenty for me, right? Still getting picked on a bit, still kind of like keeping to myself, but I was happier. I had an outlet. I graduate high school, I go into college, I start pursuing a career in the medical field. And because of that, right, so you said I worked in surgery. I was a surgical technologist. Basically, that role is on paper to help the doctor set up the operating room sterilely before anybody else is in there. And then during the procedure, pass them any of the instruments they want. But at my hospital, we had to use only surge techs. We were so small, we didn't have PAs, we didn't have residents. All we had was me. And so during the procedure, I was the one that was oftentimes assisting the doctor with the procedures. And so to get a career like that, obviously you need to understand the human body very, very well, right? Anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, nutrition, biology, all these things. All the ologies, I learned them. And from there, I also learned what the human body needed to create change. And I became my first guinea pig. I was like, well, now I know what I need. I'm going to do this. But at the same time, I'm an 18-year-old boy. Like, I'm an idiot and I'm away from home. Like, what do you think happens when that happens? Well, For all my 40-year-old ladies, you probably know because you probably have children. So we go to college, we start drinking and partying and treating our body like crap. And so yes, I'm in the gym, I'm giving my body the nutrients that it needs, but at the same time, I'm having poison, alcohol, frequently. After that, I'm eating Dominoes, not helpful. And after that, I'm sleeping poorly. So I start gaining weight, something I'd always wanted to do, but I was gaining weight so fast that it was literally impossible for it to be muscle, right? And so in the span of, it was either a year or a year and a half, I went from 140 pounds, where I graduated high school, and I ballooned up to 225, right? And so I went from skinny to now being fat. Like if you look at BMI charts, I literally went, and I know those are BS, but I literally went from underweight to on the cusp of obese, like just over the cusp. And now I had a new problem. Still not confident, still didn't like how my body looked. I was just fat. So I kicked the partying, kicked the dominoes, started treating my body the way it should be, and I got to where I am now. So about 5'11", 195 pounds, good amount of muscle and pretty lean. And I come home from from college that summer, and everybody starts to ask, like, oh my God, Joe, like, what did you do? Because we've known you when you were skinny. We've known you when you were fat. Both times you wouldn't look us in the eye. You weren't really yourself. You were quiet. Now, like, yes, you look better, but you're also presenting completely different. Like you're a different person. How did you do it and how can I do it? And I had enough people ask to where I was like, wow, this is cool. And it would be really nice to help these men avoid the things that I went through. So I'd love to help them. And I start creating these 8-week online fat loss challenges. Like I said, transparently, thinking I wanted to help people like me, right? Young men either gain muscle or lose fat and be confident. And so I start advertising just organically on my Facebook and Instagram, trying to get all my friends and community members in there. And I got a ton of signups. There's like $97 here, $100 here, 97 here, but I never looked at the names. And so on day one, when I opened my laptop and I start my first coaching call, we were on Zoom and every face looking back at me that had their camera on looked like my mom and her friends. And I was like, oh, dear Lord, like, what did I just get myself into? But at the end of that call, like we were all laughing, we were all having fun. At the end of that first 8 weeks, every single lady got massive results that they otherwise didn't in past diets. And they were happy, right? They were so happy because this is a group of people that had tried to lose weight for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they've struggled with it. And now they found that it was simple. And so they're so much more grateful. They're so much more happy about this accomplishment than a guy that's 20 that maybe he's dealt with this once in his life. And so it was very fulfilling for me. And at the end of that, I was like, wow, I really don't care if this is not what I thought I wanted. I like it, and this is what I'm going to do. So I ran with it, right? And now going back to like the surgery part, I had my job in surgery at that time. I graduated school, and these challenges were not making me enough money to pay the bills because at the end of every 8-week challenge, I gave away $500 cash, and I eventually got up to giving away $2,000 cash. But the thing is, in the beginning, I'd give away $500, but on the front end, I only made $400. So like I'd help this lady create a result, and then I would take $100 out of my pocket and give her the money because I didn't make enough. And so I had to work in surgery to pay the bills, to get food on the table. And with that, again, getting pushed in this direction of women over 40. You guys now understand what I did for work. I was a surge tech. I had myself and 7 other ladies on that team of surge techs, and my higher ups had a group meeting with all of us one day, and we're separating each other into different rooms and different assignments. And they're like, you know what, Joe, I think that you would do really good in the OB and GYN based rooms. Again, like I'm the only guy there. There's 7 other women. They're like, go take the guy, put him in the women rooms. And I was like, well, okay, like here we are. I've been down this path. Let's just keep going down it. And so I did the best with what I was given. And I was like, well, I'm helping these ladies outside of my day job. And now I have the opportunity to grab this knowledge from these doctors and then apply it to them at night. And so that's what I did during the procedures with the patient asleep and me and the doctor shoulder to shoulder, helping each other with the procedure. I'd look at him and I'd be like, hey doc, what could this lady have done proactively to avoid being in here? And then I would just simply take it and bring it over to my ladies. And that's it. Like if I reflected on this a few years ago and I was like, why am I even here? Why is this the path that I either chose or gravitated towards or got pushed in? And I think it comes down to 3 things. I do still want to help men, right? I want to help young boys feel better. But I found that the easiest way, the path of least resistance, is to help their mom, right? Because I looked up to my mom like nobody else in my freaking life. And if she wasn't into fitness, if she wasn't into health, well, then I wouldn't be here talking to anybody today. And so if I want to change a young boy's life, well, I better change their moms. Number two, I spent so much time with her and her friends that I learned to communicate and resonate in a way that makes sense with them, right? And so we naturally connect. And then number three, like, it's so fulfilling to see somebody that was put on Weight Watchers at 13 by their mom and has struggled ever since. And then at 45 or 55 or 72, they finally figure out that they can lose weight easily, doing things other than starving themselves. Like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. And so like, at this point, it's a no-brainer. I just love it.
Yeah. Awesome. I know. And I love what you're saying about how, when we change a mom's life, we can change the lives of an entire, not just even an entire family, but an entire community.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's part of the powerful role that women play. And so kind of putting the pieces together, as you said, with these women who were showing up and what their experience was, like starting Weight Watchers at 13 or all of these things and trying every diet under the sun. I see it all the time. Women are under eating, over exercising, but I'd love to hear from your perspective and in your experience, why is eat less, move more not the remedy for health?
Yeah. I mean, so we have to understand that muscle is everything when it comes to our metabolism. And our metabolism is everything when it comes to weight loss, right? Because if we have, and so let me try and define these as best I can. But in order to lose weight, I think we all understand that we need to live inside of a calorie deficit consistently. But our metabolism basically decides how many calories we can burn every single day. And so if we have a low or a slow metabolism, well, maybe you can only burn 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 calories a day. And if you eat anything over that, well, then you're going to gain weight. And that's not a lot of food. Like I eat that sometimes in one meal, right? And so I can't imagine women, even though I've worked with them for 8 years, eating 1,200 calories across a 24-hour period, but it happens all the time. And so the thing that helps us increase, one of the things rather, that helps us increase or speed up our metabolism is having more muscle on our body, right? And so as we can give a woman more muscle, you don't need to be jacked, by the way, don't get afraid and turn off this podcast. As we can give a woman more muscle, well, we can speed up their metabolism. And as they have the ability to eat more calories consistently, well, weight loss gets a whole lot easier because they get to still enjoy their food. If there's a brownie in the break room, they can have it and be successful at the end of the week. And now they're living a normal life in order to lose weight. But what happens from things like what we just said, Weight Watchers, or any of the other mainstream diets, is they have you on these insanely low calorie diets. Like I said, 800, 1,000, 1,200 calories a day. And I know that everybody here that might want to see the number on the scale change is after weight loss. But I don't actually think you are. Because if I snap my fingers and I told you that, poof, now you are exactly the number on the scale that you wanted to weigh. But your energy is low, your cravings are high, your mood sucks, you can't sleep at night, you have no sex drive. And oh, by the way, all the weight that you lost came in the form of muscle loss and you kept all the fat on your body. Are you happy? Well, probably not. You probably hate your life. Which proves to me that you don't want weight loss. You want fat loss. Because when we lose fat, well, now you have a nicely shaped body, your clothes fit well, you are strong and functional, and you can do things with your kids and grandkids. You have energy, you have the ability to eat foods and have a little cheat or treat or brownie or glass of wine and still be successful. If you have sex drive, you're in a good mood, you're confident. Like that's probably more of what people want, right? And so these low calorie diets like Weight Watchers, they're robbing people, women especially, of muscle rapidly. And that's why people like Jen and I are here, because we realized it and we're here to kind of fight back against it and do things the right way.
Yeah. And so then take the exercise piece, because a lot of women I work with are frankly over the top on, the exercise piece, or they're doing the same exercise routine that worked for them in their 20s and early 30s, but now they're saying, I'm not seeing the results. These things are changing, even though I'm still doing all the things.
Yeah.
So will you speak to the exercise part?
Yeah, absolutely. Exercise makes us worse, right? Every single time we exercise, we are actually getting worse. And so now the question that everybody's asking is, okay, well, if this 31-year-old guy telling 50-year-old women what to do is right, then why does anybody exercise if it makes us worse? Well, number one, it helps us mentally, me massively. But number two, it makes us better if we pair it with something. And that something is adequate recovery, right? And so if I explain this a little bit further, let's just use strength training or resistance training as an example. If we do a bicep curl, something I think we all know what it is, like we take a weight or a band or a gallon of milk and we curl it up with our arm, and we do that over and over and over again, we create these tiny baby little micro tears inside of our muscles. We're breaking our body down. We are tearing our muscles apart, right? And if we do that over and over again, we're going to continue to break our body down. But when we pair it with recovery, AKA the appropriate amount of protein and carbs and calories and sleep and water and stress management, well, now our body looks at those micro tears and says, oh, I bet this person's going to do the same thing again to us next week. We need to repair and get back to where we were. But not only get back to where we were, we need to be stronger because we want this to be easier next week. And so now those little micro tears heal back, but they heal back a little bit better. And that is when exercising makes us better. And so if we understand this, well, we have to understand that if we need to recover more than we need to exercise, and there's 7 days in the week, well, it simply doesn't make sense to exercise for 5, 6, or 7 days a week because, well, we don't have enough time for recovery. So you're just going to dig yourself into a hole that you can't get out of. So what I recommend is a lot of our ladies are working out 2, 3, or 4 days a week.
So, okay, I want to break this down, right? So let's start with what that 2, 3, or 4 days a week look like. So let's start with what the movement looks like when we potentially move less or smarter versus harder. And then we'll come back and kind of dig into that recovery stuff. So your recommendation, if more is not more when it comes to fitness, what does our week of activity and exercise look like?
Ideally, let's just say 3 days a week. Let's get somebody, and we don't even need to be in the gym. And we can use the word gym interchangeably for in the living room using bands or body weight. But get this woman in the gym or the living room using bands or body weight and exercising with resistance training using compound movements. And so what I mean by compound movements, they are multi-joint movements. And so the joints in our body are our ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists, right? And we want to be using 2 or more of these joints per exercise. And so if we think about that, the main 4 or 5 we're going to have would be squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, and then presses, right? So pressing a dumbbell or a band over our head. And as we do that motion, we can see that the elbow moves and the shoulder moves. We're using 2 joints, which means we're using multiple muscles, right? And so that is how we can allow ladies to not work out for hours on end every single day. They can get so much more bang for their buck by doing compound exercises and work out for 30, 45, maybe 60 minutes a day, 3 days a week, instead of 2-hour sessions frequently. Outside of that, we're not meant to be sedentary. It's not good for our body. It's not good for our mental health. So I love to see my clients get out and walk for 15 minutes minimum every single day of the week. And it should just be something that gets baked into your non-negotiables or your habits or your lifestyle. It's like, get out, move your body. If it's rainy, dance around the house, which is a lot of what our clients will do. Get a walking pad if you work from home. Just figure out a way. It's very simple. But other than that, it doesn't need to be complicated or time consuming.
Okay, awesome. I have follow-up questions on that, but I want to pause to highlight our partner for this episode. Big thanks to Lumiere de Vie Skincare for supporting Salad with a Side of Fries. Lumiere de Vie Skincare was founded by Amber Reidinger McLaughlin in response to her own experience of mere marginal results from countless costly creams. She realized the revitalization of her youthful skin could only occur if she developed products herself. Working closely with beauty scientists and exploring the most advanced ingredients derived from the earth and sea, Amber created Lumiere de Vie, the next generation of skincare. The extensive line of luxury skincare products is designed to address all skin types and concerns. With the highest quality natural ingredients and powerful formulas that help heal, soothe, moisturize, and protect, Lumiere de Vie acts as first aid for your skin. The result is rejuvenated, luminous, beautiful-looking skin. So today we're talking about quality over quantity, right? And I do think Lumiere falls into that category. The quality of the skincare and the ingredients means that I don't have to use a ton of product each morning or night to see the benefits. Now, this time of year, I feel like it's worth drawing our attention to the Daily Brightening Broad Spectrum SPF 50. It protects and soothes the skin. It's light, perfect to wear under makeup. It's $62. And by the way, it's FSA, HSA eligible. So if you have one of those debit cards that goes to your flex spending or your health savings account, you can use it to buy your Lumiere de Vie sunblock. So this price, by the way, is before your 10% off and free shipping, because you're a Salad with a Side of Fries listener. So simply text the word SKIN, SKIN, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word SKIN, SKIN, to 844-947-4846 to try Lumiere de Vie skincare at 10% off and free shipping. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Okay, Joe, so you talked about compound movements, using multiple muscle groups, and the way to know that is, multiple joints. I hear people saying too, you mentioned squats and deadlifts. And I know a lot of women who are super afraid to work their lower body, or even when it comes to their upper body, right? They don't want to look bulky. So talk to us about that, because I feel like we can't hear it enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good thing to bring up. So a couple things here. A woman's body is not designed like a man's. In how our skeleton is designed, you just won't carry as much muscle. In how hormones are designed, you just won't build as much muscle as men. Is it possible? Yeah. Obviously, we have our bikini and physique and bodybuilding ladies out there that work extremely hard to do that. Okay, but it's not like they did that and it happened on accident. They set out with the goal to build massive amounts of muscle on their body, and it took years, and it took a huge calorie surplus for those years. And so we have to remember that working out alone doesn't create massive muscles. The nutrition has to match the same goal, right? And so a lot of times our ladies will come to us because they want to lose some weight, or they want to change their shape of their body and make it a little bit smaller or a little bit tighter. And that requires nutrition that is eating at maintenance or slightly below. And that's not where muscle growth happens, right? You need to be giving your body more calories than it needs so it can take those extra calories and put it into your muscle, right? And so we have to understand, like, if you're in a weight loss phase, you're not just going to sneeze and get jacked. Like, it takes a lot of effort and time.
Yeah, so square that circle for us, because you mentioned nutrition as part of recovery. You're also mentioning nutrition as part of muscle growth. So what are those nutrition choices that allow us to get the most out of this potentially less movement or less quote unquote exercise than we're used to?
Yeah, absolutely. So good question. Calories are huge. Calories are going to decide whether we lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight, depending on the amounts we eat. Protein is going to decide a lot of things, but it's going to help us stay more full for longer. So if we're in a weight loss phase, we all know that we've experienced some hunger there. If you can be hungry, if you can be satiated or not hungry while losing weight, you've cracked the code. Like, weight loss gets a lot easier when you experience that. It's also going to dictate what kind of weight we lose, right? Because if we're eating a low protein diet and we're in a calorie deficit, well, the first thing our body wants to get rid of is muscle. But if we're eating a high protein diet and in a calorie deficit, well, now you're going to lose your body fat. So that's another big one to focus on. For anybody starting out, if you're going to track your food, a lot of times you'll hear aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And for some people, that's cool. That works just fine. but it's almost never realistic right off the bat, right? It's so unrealistic to go from what you're eating now, which is probably anywhere between 40 and 80 grams of protein, up to 140, 180, 250. By the way, never eat that much protein a day. So what I encourage everyone to do that's listening is, if you track your food, aim for 100 grams a day. And at the same time, don't expect to be perfect and beat yourself up if you don't hit that on day 1, week 1, or month 1. If you eat more protein tomorrow than you did today, well, then you've done great and you should be proud of yourself. So calories, protein, carbs are the next one. Please don't avoid carbs, ladies, for multiple reasons. But for my women over 40, if you're having trouble sleeping, the best thing that you can take for sleep is a complex carbohydrate before bed. So oats, sweet potatoes, brown rice, something like that. Try it. Don't knock it before you try it. And then send me a message the next day and tell me how well you slept, because I guarantee you it's better. But not only that, for workouts, carbs have 2 main roles. Before a workout, they give us more energy so we can push a little bit harder, feel a little bit stronger, and break those muscles down a little bit more so we can build them back better. And then after, they help us with that recovery by getting into the blood system and the muscles quicker and helping us repair faster.
I love it. It's all about, right, it's pairing everything together. It's thinking about things in terms of, their purpose. And the other piece that I want to point out of what you're sharing is that you're talking about whole, actual food.
Yes.
Right, versus so many. Yeah, go ahead.
You're not really going to hear me talk about supplements that much. And so right now, as we're recording this, we're at a beach house, and my friend is not a fitness geek like I am, so he comes to me for any questions. And he always gets really sore after workouts. And he's like, Joe, what should I do? I'm just always so sore. Like, what supplement should I take? And I was like, well, Dan, let's look at the word supplement. And he's a really, really smart guy. Like, he's so smart. And as soon as I say that, it all clicks for him. And so if we look at the word supplement, if we define that, a supplement is something that enhances the effect of something else. And so the only reason somebody should ever be doing a supplement is if they have all the other foundational things in place, aka sleep, calories, protein, carbs, stress management, exercise, hydration. Then we can look at supplements, but Dan certainly doesn't have them in place, right? And a lot of other people that might be listening to this podcast don't have everything in place. So before you go spend your money on some fancy supplement that's overpriced, just do the free things. Go to bed earlier, eat more whole foods, drink more water, and you will feel better. You will recover better.
Yeah, I want to come back to recovery in a second, because I hear our listener going, okay, I hear everything you're saying about, the workout pieces. What you haven't talked about is cardio. Where is my cardio? Because so many of my clients were, a lot of us grew up, right? We learned cardio was the thing to do. It was all the cardio bunny, cardio queens. So talk to us a bit about cardio.
Yeah, that doesn't have much of a place in weight loss, right? And I say it that way because cardio is not bad, right? As a whole, if we look at cardio for exercise, it's not bad, but it is bad when we say, hey, I want to do cardio for weight loss, right? If you say, hey, I want to do cardio to increase my cardiovascular health, well, good for you. Go do it all day long. That's amazing. But again, going back to the whole metabolism, muscle, weight loss, simplicity conversation, cardio is making it harder, because what you're doing when you run or bike or do any form of cardio is you're signaling to your body that you need to become more efficient. And basically what that means is you need to learn how to burn less calories. And so your brain is very smart, and it says, okay, well, if I need to burn less calories so that I'm more efficient and this cardio is easier for me, well, then I need to get rid of muscle. And so I think for a long time, that's why women were doing cardio to lose weight, because it happens pretty fast. But what's actually happening behind the scenes is the weight you're losing is muscle, not fat. And so then we go back to the beginning of this podcast and I ask you which thing you really want.
Okay, great. So let's focus on, in these last couple minutes, some of these elements of recovery. So you mentioned the nutrition piece for recovery. You've mentioned, we talked about the nutrition piece. You've mentioned hydration, sleep, managing stress. What are sort of your top elements there that you want people to focus on?
For sleep? Yeah.
Sure, all of them. I mean, let's go through them. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Calories. And by the way, guys, before I get into this, because I know so many people that listen to podcasts, if you're anything like me, you're driving, you're biking, you're walking, you're with a friend, you're doing something other than just sitting there. If you want to have all of this in front of you in one place, I wrote a book called Diet Detox, and I just yesterday, literally yesterday, made it $1. So if anybody wants that, we'll put the link in the show notes. It's $1 and you'll have everything we talked about today in front of you and teach you how to make a plan for you. But for calories, you need to figure out how many calories your body needs, right? And so to do that, the easiest way is to just go online and find a free TDEE calculator. And so what that means, it's a total daily energy expenditure calculator. And it's basically telling you how many calories your body burns as a rough estimate. Chances are it's going to be 1,800 or above, sometimes up to 2,600. Yes, even for women, which is terrifying to hear until they find out that they can eat that much and life gets better. So eat more food, eat more protein, eat more carbs, like way more carbs. After that, for sleep, that's a very simple one. It's everything you told your kids to do when they were younger, you should probably do yourself. So have a consistent bedtime and listen to it. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And another one that you probably didn't tell your kids to do is either try to get rid of blue lights, so phones, TVs, computers, any monitors or screens, get rid of them an hour before bed, because those blue lights inhibit your body from making its own melatonin. And that's our sleepy hormone, right? And so if you don't make the sleepy hormone, well, it's going to be harder to fall asleep. So get rid of the monitors, go read a book, go spend time with your family, go do something other than that. But if you absolutely can't, which I understand sometimes it's hard in today's day and age, get some blue blockers, right? You can get them built into prescription glasses. You can get them as regular glasses, but it blocks out a certain amount of blue light, and therefore you can create a bit of melatonin and fall asleep easier. What else do we have? Stress management. That's a good one.
Yep.
So this one's hard, right? And it shouldn't be. But a lot of times, again, today's day and age, we have such a hard time sitting down with ourselves and being rather than doing. And that's a problem, right? Because our body never truly has the ability to downregulate until it sleeps. And if you're sleeping poorly, well, you're not really downregulating then either. So learning to be and just sit with yourself and your thoughts and think about the day or journal or meditate is huge and massively underrated, again, because of how simple it actually is. People think that, well, this is too easy. It can't be as helpful as doing something harder. And it's just not the case. So we can talk about balance real quick. That's interesting. Our core is everything for balance, right? Our core is not just our abs, right? It's not just the six pack that we all think about. It is truly our core, the trunk of our body. The front, the sides, the back, every single aspect of the middle of our body is our core. And that is what keeps us upright from falling forward, from falling backward, from falling sideways. And a lot of times people will think that crunches or sit-ups are the best way to build our core. But again, we can make these workouts really simple by, again, doing compound movements. Because when we squat, when we deadlift, when we do overhead pressing, we have a lot of weight somewhere around our body, and we need to keep our body upright. And so we are constantly engaging our core during that. And so yes, you're working all those muscles that we talked about, but you're also engaging your core 24/7, which is going to help you balance. And then I think another big one is just simply trying new things. I think that as adults, we get away from being kids, right? And we get away from being open-minded and trying something new for a million different reasons, right? Maybe because we don't want to get laughed at. Maybe because we think it's for kids and we know we're not one anymore. But I can tell you from experience, the more I try, the better I get at everything, right? Like, gosh, I just started jujitsu like 8 months ago. That has translated to so many other things in my life simply because I've learned how to use and move my body in different ways. And like, for my ladies over 40, you might not be there yet if you're 40. You might not be there yet if you're 50. If you're 60, maybe you're getting there. 70s, 80s, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Balance is everything. And for women especially, you've been losing muscle naturally since the age of 30. But the other thing you're losing is your bone density. And having poor balance and low bone density is a terrible combination. Okay, so fix your balance, do some resistance training, be less likely to fall. And if you do fall, be less likely to break something because you have strong bones. Like, yeah, this conversation is about weight loss, but it's so much more. Like, we have a 72-year-old client now that has recovered from her total knee replacement like nothing I've ever seen, because she worked with us for a year and a half before, and she knew this was coming up. And she's like, Joe, Kate, that's my head coach. She's like, I want to get as strong as I possibly can and have as much muscle as I possibly can so that I can recover perfectly. And I mean, this is coming from a guy that worked in surgery too. I used to do total knee replacements weekly. I've never seen somebody recover like this. And it's because she did all these simple things that we put in our diet detox method. Rant over.
Yeah, it's amazing. And everybody, first of all, we have episodes on everything that we've talked about today, but we have a recent one on supercharging recovery. And, one of the big factors in that is everything we're doing leading up to, the incident or the procedure or whatever it is. Joe, final thought to wrap this up, and we'll do our rapid fire off-topic questions.
Final thought. Yeah, I mean, just to recap everything, more doesn't equal more, right? If I think about it, because when you were introducing all of this, I was thinking in my head, and I was trying to think of a time where more does equal more. And I can't think of much, right? Like, if we work more overtime, yeah, we'll make more money, but we're going to take away from our family. We're going to take away from our health and our body. If we drink more alcohol, that buzz is going to turn into alcohol poisoning. That kind of sucks, right? If we exercise too much, we're going to pull a muscle. We're going to dig ourselves a hole and break ourselves down too much. If we diet more, we're going to lose muscle faster. We're going to stress our body more, right? Like, keep it simple, because nobody walking around with a life or body or level of health that you desire is doing anything crazy, because if they were, they wouldn't be able to sustain it. The thing is, we've all found out how to make this simple in our life, and you can too.
Awesome. All right. Are you ready? Our rapid fire off-topic questions that I ask every expert who joins us. First one, what's the best thing you've done for your health this week? What's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health this week? Not that anything's really naughty, but balance.
Yeah, I've done a bit of both, because we're at a beach house right now, myself and my friends, and we're looking at buying some beach houses. And with being a multi-business owner, we don't vacation much. So when we do, we enjoy it. With that being said, I have not fallen off my schedule once for the gym. I go again tomorrow before we jump on the plane. And I think the other best thing I did is I ordered my meal delivery to this house that we're staying at, so that I'm still completely on my nutrition. It made the travel really easy, because, I mean, shoot, I don't have to cook or prep anything. I just toss in the microwave and I'm good. However, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it was Saturday. I had some alcohol. We played some Topgolf. And when we got home, we huddled around the fire, and I had a little bit more alcohol. And I woke up feeling pretty shitty on Sunday, but that's okay, because you know what? Balance is everything. We can't be tied to just being a robot.
Awesome. All right. If you weren't a trainer and the founder of Diet Detox, what would you do?
Well, I'm also a restaurant owner, and I also own a nutrition certification company for the next generation of personal trainers. So I'd probably do those two things.
All right. Favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise, or you could give us a fiction book.
Shoot, I forget the name. Hopefully somebody's read it. But my buddy recommended to me, and it's it's just a storybook, but it takes place in this retirement home with these 4 or 5 old geezers that used to be like the secret agents and detectives and stuff. And so now they have, it's called like Thursday Murder Club, I think. And they try and solve these murder mysteries. And so it just follows these like 4 or 5 British 80-year-olds around that are solving this crazy murder mystery. And it's just super fun.
That's fun. All right. If you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
Ooh, one? Probably depression. I think that stops so many people in their tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
Teleporting, for sure. I would 100% teleport.
Same.
All day long.
Same. What's your biggest pet peeve?
People talking, people interrupting. And I know that on a podcast, that's tough, because like sometimes we want to say our own thing, and like I've probably interrupted you and you've probably interrupted me. That's not what I mean. I just mean like in day-to-day conversations, like, hey, it's my turn to talk. You can talk after. That's a big one.
Got it. All right, last one. In your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
I hate to say it, but it's Ozempic. I don't like saying that. Trust me. But if I'm being realistic, that's what it is. It's going to be GLPs. And not just because of weight loss, right? People are microdosing it. And I don't know a ton about it, but there's a ton of other benefits that come along with microdosing. And from the circles that I'm in, just from this business and from the nutrition certification business that I have, I see it everywhere.
Awesome. Nice. Well, Joe, thank you so much for being here. Tell everybody where to learn more, how to connect with you, hear your podcast, all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. So very easy to find. You can just search my name, Joe Hoye. On the internet, you'll find me just about anywhere. Again, if anything I said resonated with the listeners, I'd really encourage everyone to go buy the book for $1. Inside of that, it's not just a book, it's a program that you will build starting from page 1. And by the end of the book, you're going to have everything laid out from start to finish of exactly what you need to do. It doesn't matter really, and this is the reason I did this, it doesn't matter really if somebody resonates with one thing I said or everything I said. The book costs $1. So it's why I did it, because my goal is to help as many people as I possibly can. And I understand that a lot of times coaches will jump on and say, hey, come work with us. But by the way, it's $5,000. And people don't have those resources. And I started this because I wanted to help. And if that's going to remain true, then I need to make this accessible to everyone. So we'll put the link in the show notes. And then, Jenn, you were on my show. Jenn, you're going to be on my show again. Come listen to Diet Rebellion. Pretty self-explanatory. Like, we are very anti-diet. We talk about a lot of mindset stuff too, which can be fun. So come check us out.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you again for being here. Just appreciate your time and energy, and especially, joining us from the beach. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jenn.
Absolutely. Friends, on Friday, in this week's Nutrition Nugget, our bite-sized bonus episode, we're talking about David bars. So ages ago, I saw an ad on Instagram for them. I made a note for us to talk about it. And then, it's been on the list. Recently, though, I saw a video also on Instagram. Apparently, I spend a lot of time on Instagram. And this video was the founder talking about the logic behind the bars, what they wanted to accomplish, and he was totally speaking my language. So I moved it to the top of the list, and here we are on Friday in this week's bite-sized bonus episode, Nutrition Nugget. We're going to talk about David bars, put the magnifying glass on them, and see if they're as spectacular as their founder claims. So be sure wherever you're listening, click the plus sign or the follow button, and then your app will alert you when it goes live on Friday morning. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I'm at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. I truly love hearing from you, your ideas, your takeaways, your questions. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Joe Hoye, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Jenn.
Absolutely. And friends, if you are not already, join our membership by going to glow.fm/saladwithasideoffries. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, supports your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the cucumber radish salad and the link to schedule your quarterly live Q&A. That's a one-on-one mini health coaching session, just you and me. So until next week, remember, more is not more, especially when it comes to our workouts. Build strength and walk. It's that simple. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.